The sun is coming out, and Academy Sports and Outdoors is excited to bring you the most summer fun under one roof. Find pools, floats, coolers, grills, trampolines, and this week, the best kayak deals of the year. Shop now at your local store and academy.com.
You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
What's going on, boxing world? What's happening? You're now listening to Ring Kings Boxing. That's right, the #1 podcast on everything that's boxing. Covering in our weekly podcast, breaking down all of the great and upcoming fights, as well as some fights that recently happened. We got a lot today on Ring Kings Boxing, episode 357, coming dead at you. And as usual, on Ring King, I'm Big Q, coming in, chiming in with the latest boxing news, commentary, covering it all. Co-host on Ring Kings Boxing is Eddie Too Mean Johnson, our contributor and boxing aficionado. What's going on, Too Mean?
What's good? What's good?
Well, we got a lot good to talk about, my friend. Dealing with the recent big fight that just occurred. Danny Jacobs, man. Danny Jacobs against Canelo Alvarez, man. That was the big fight. And guess what? We called this fight, and I think, Eddie, if I hate to toot my own horn in this one, brother, and you can toot yours. Please subscribe. Hit the Ring King notification button. Hit the notification button. Hit the subscription button, and catch our podcast every week as we cover all the latest boxing news and notes. Now, also on this show, we're going to cover, of course, Hurd's back in effect. He's got a really good fight coming up against a really good fighter in Julian Williams. We'll break that down besides the Canelo, recapping Canelo and Danny Jacobs. We also are going to talk about the Harrison and Charlo rematch that's coming up. And, of course, we're going to get into in a couple of weeks from now, Deontay Wilder will match up with Dominic Breazeale out in Brooklyn. So we're going to cover that as well and give you our pre-fight preview. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Eddie, you seen the fight, man, between Danny Jacobs and Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez was in rare form, in my opinion. He came out and he had a really, really solid fight against a solid opponent. Danny Jacobs, like I said, I watched the fight, and he fought really well in spurts. He just didn't press the action when he was supposed to. It was several times he had Canelo on the ropes. He did not press when he was supposed to press. Maybe if he did, he could have got Canelo in trouble. But also, he threw out some shots that didn't land. You can see Canelo Alvarez, you slow the film down, you can see Canelo is actually moving his head, making Jacobs miss on different shots, and repositioning himself. So I've seen him do this before, but Alvarez looked really comfortable in the ring against Danny Jacobs. What's your take on the fight before we get into the statistical part of it?
Yeah, what's saying? Danny Jacobs, he couldn't rise to the occasion. You know what I'm saying? He like you said, he's missing that one little element, man. That you know what I'm saying? Put him on that top level, man. It's like he's missing something. And like I say, he just didn't do enough. You know what I'm saying? He ain't rise to the occasion. He's supposed to take full advantage of that. I don't think he did. And then another thing you got to look at, too, you know, Canelo was in those lighter weights, like welterweight. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a person like that with that speed, you know what I'm saying, he can, you know what I'm saying, that could wear a bigger person out to try to keep up with him. You know what I'm saying? And then it's hard to hit those guys that got that speed like that too. Like you see in the fight, he was like, you know what I'm saying, he was missing a lot. So it was, you know what I'm saying, he couldn't really like,
I kind of think, you look at it, Eddie.
yeah.
He was,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I got you. You dropped out, but yeah, I got where you're coming from. I think if you look at, in this fight, now of course, we look at some of the statistics from CompuBox. Canelo, he unified the trio of the middleweight titles in a close, but, they gave him a competitive unanimous decision. Well, it shouldn't have been unanimous. A lot of people believe that it should have, at best, been a split decision, or it might have been a split decision, Eddie, or he might not should have won a unanimous because he didn't dominate him that far. But if you Danny Jacobs coming into this fight, you should know that already, that you have to take the fight from Canelo Alvarez, and he just didn't do it. If you look at the
he's supposed to be the bigger man, like he said, the bigger and stronger and true middleweight. They don't really consider Canelo a true middleweight.
No, they don't.
Like I say, he couldn't. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't use that to his advantage, man. But I know for a fact that, you know what I'm saying, it don't really matter the size, it's the skill, man, and the heart. It's not the size of the dog is this what they say? It's not the fighting the dog, it's the size of the dog is the fighting the dog, whatever how they say it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? But yeah, because like I say, it's heart and skill and determination that wins them fights. It don't matter the size, really.
They said that Canelo Alvarez, had a chess match with Danny Jacobs. He outlanded him 120 to 89 on power punches, according to CompuBox. And of course, Alvarez finished the fight 52-1-2 with 35 knockouts. He landed 45% of his punches overall to take the scores of the judges 115-113, 115-113, and of course the third judge said 116-102. Excuse me, to 112. I'm sorry. He retained and claimed his pound for pound rankings, and he scored the fight that, and CBS Sports, of course, who wrote the article, scored the fight at even 114-114. Now, of course, Alvarez was quoted as saying, "It was just what we thought because of the style of fight that he brings, but we just did our job." That's what Alvarez says. We knew he was going to be a difficult fighter, but thank God we did things the right way. And big ups to Canelo Alvarez and his team. They really did. Go back and look at the tape again. If you got a feature on there where you can slow it down, that would really impress me to see Canelo Alvarez. I've seen him move before, but this level, you can see whoever's training him adding bringing that elusiveness in his game, because he always had the power game. He early on, he thought he was just going to overpower you until he met a guy named Mayweather who taught him you need to add some different things to your cabinet to become a complete fighter, not just a bully and a fighter, because you'll meet a guy that can box you and tear your ass up. But this dude wasn't Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs, like I've said before, and you can go and listen to the previous podcast, me and Eddie both called it. We said we called Canelo to win this fight because Danny Jacobs doesn't have it. It's something that he's missing in these big fights where he just doesn't come. He doesn't rise to the occasion. So I don't know where this leads Danny Jacobs, but it does, in my opinion, it leaves him definitely in one position, that's without a belt. But any last thoughts on this fight, Eddie, before we move to our next one?
Yeah, I think you know what I'm saying, remain open-minded, just keep learning, and, you know what I'm saying, and learn from your mistakes. You know what I'm saying, like Canelo did when he lost to Mayweather. He became a lot better. He started working on all the stuff that he was lacking. You know what I'm saying? So he worked on that. All his mistakes, he corrected them. You know what I'm saying? And he's still, you know what I'm saying, still open-minded to keep learning. Each fight, he's getting better and better each fight, man. I think Jacob needs to do that too. He needs to go back and look at them tapes, all them tapes, and you know what I'm saying, work on the stuff that he needs to work on. You seen that fight with him and Triple G, right? Jacobs.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that fight. I think Jacobs won that damn fight, man.
He did. In my opinion, he won that fight as well.
Yeah.
Next
one. He was more busy. Yeah, he should have been more busier. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know. Like I said, he need to work on that. Can't be letting them fights slip away like that, man. Especially with a fight of that magnitude, man. That would have set him straight. Him and his family have been straight for, you know what I'm saying, for years to come, boy.
Yeah, like I said, when you're in the position, he's basically, he called him the Miracle Man. Basically, he was considered the underdog in many of his fights. He actually did beat Triple G. But then, when you knew you experienced something like that, you should have known what you was expecting going against Canelo Alvarez. You know, more of the same. You have to beat him convincingly, and he just didn't do that. And as a result, in a result, that's what ended up happening to Jacobs. He loses his belt and a supreme opportunity to be one of the top fighters in the world, and that'll be a part of his legacy. He failed to rise to the occasion as it stands right now. But moving on to our next fight. Coming up this weekend, one of the biggest fights coming up this weekend, written a really great area of boxing right now, y'all. A lot of great boxing right around this year. We just came off the Canelo Alvarez and Danny Jacobs fight that was really good. Now we kind of go right into a very solid fight with Swift Hurd, Jared the Swift Hurd, as he's defending his IBF and WBA 154-pound titles against Julian J. Rock Williams at Eagles Bank Arena in Virginia, which is not too far from where Swift Hurd comes from. He's from the Washington, D.C. area, and he's happy to be back home having these fights, bringing championship boxing to the area which he came up, and he's really proud of that. His last fight wasn't he fought a fighter previously. It wasn't he beat the guy, but it wasn't an impressive fight. We covered it here on Ring Kings, and I said it then. I said it wasn't an impressive fight. Jared Hurd, he fought the smaller guy from Britain. His name escapes me right now. Excuse me for that. And the guy from Britain really kind of put it on him, you know. He was a smaller fighter, a shorter fighter, and Hurd wanted to brawl with this smaller fighter. I didn't understand why he just didn't use his size and his length to just tear the guy ass up. But he didn't. He got inside, and the guy bruised him, uglied him up, which was foolish. It was stupid. It was a stupid way to fight. You know, the guy was a decent fighter, but he was nobody you wanted to play that kind of game with, especially in boxing. He got a really good opponent here in Julian Williams. Williams is a more experienced fighter than Hurd. He's 26-1, with 26-1-1, and he's had about 16 knockouts. He's 5'10", 154 pounds, orthodox fighter. He got a 72-inch reach. And Jared Hurd is 23-0 with 16 knockouts, and he's 6'1". So he got some size on J-Rock. Eddie, you've seen Hurd fight. You know about Julian Williams. This is an upcoming fight. This is a pretty good fight here, and many believe it's one step closer to face Charlo, because that's one of this area, of this genre of the boxing world, the big fight to be made here after Julian Williams, because he's in there right below. But people want the Charlo and Hurd to fight, but not getting over that. Let's stay focused here and go. What do you think about this upcoming fight against Hurd and Williams? Who do you think gets the upper hand in this one?
Williams, he can use his reach in boxing. You know what I'm saying? If he's in shape, you know what I'm saying? He don't get wore out, because the Hurd's a big dude, man. A big, physical, strong, and that wears a lot of dudes out, man. I think that's, you know what I'm saying, that's one of the advantages he has. He's a big 154 pound. You know what I'm saying? So he'd be overwhelming a lot of dudes in that weight division because of his strength and his size.
You see that move there, right?
All right, Eddie, keep on talking, bro. We had a little noise in that, but
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He got to be able to overcome his strength and his size and be able to continue to box for 12 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like I say, keep him on the end of that jab and land them combinations, man. You know what I'm saying? And about to try to pull off a decision. But like I say, Hurd is a determined dude, man. He gonna keep coming. So you gotta be in shape, and you definitely gotta be smart to fight him. So we'll see how that play out. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, who's more determined, who wants it more. That's what it's gonna boil down to.
It's and a lot of people picking Jarrett Hurd with this one. Of course, they're gonna stay with the champ and rock with him. And my call is Hurd as well. I don't think I like Julian Williams. I think he's a pretty good fighter, but Jarrett Hurd is maybe a level above him. You know, but in boxing you never can tell. But Hurd has to come out and have a better performance than what he had in his previous matchup. He's got to use that 76-inch length that he has, that 76-inch reach on J-Rock, who has 72-inch reach. You got to use that advantage to keep Williams away, because both of these guys have the ability to have knockout power. 26 fights for Julian, 26 wins for him, 1 loss, and he has 16 knockouts out of 8 fights. So it's interesting to see just exactly where you would be able to get the advantage if you Julian Williams. I guess to get up under and get close to Hurd and neutralize his length, get close to the body and kind of pound his body and, you know, get up under. But I don't know if Hurd will do that. Like I said, the last fight that he fought against that British fellow, I just didn't like that fight. I thought that was a silly way to go about fighting him. If he does that with Julian Williams, it's going to be trouble. So it really depends on Hurd. I got to get the advantage to Hurd, because I really do think that if he comes out and have a smarter fight and do what he usually does, he should beat J-Rock Williams. That's just my opinion from watching these guys fight. I give the edge to Hurd. Eddie, what's your take on what I just said there?
Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know what I'm saying, it sounds about right. I said, but like I said, a lot of these cats, they ain't gonna take no fight unless they know they're gonna win. You know what I'm saying, especially if they got big fights, like I say with Charlo. That's a big money fight, so I don't think they're gonna take no real big chances on losing against a guy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Before they get to that big fight, that big money fight. So we'll see. Like you say, it's boxing, so anything can happen.
That's right. It's boxing. Anything will happen. And speaking of, let's move on to our next, third topic. We're going to talk about a Charlo. Charlo going up against Harrison. Tony Harrison, who's the junior middleweight title holder, who took it from Jermell Charlo. I mean, literally took it away from him. They're doing it again. I mean, they're going to square off again, and this one's set for Premier Boxing Champions June the 23rd. You know, it's going to be at the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas. It's going to be a really good fight between two opponents, and it's bad blood between these guys. Now, Tony Harrison, a lot of people are saying that Jermell Charlo beat him. I disagreed. When we covered this fight before, I said I went back and watched the fight, and I told you that Tony Harrison beat Jermell Charlo. He beat him. You know, Charlo and me and Eddie talked about it as well, and we agree. I think that at times Jermell Charlo, he's a fantastic fighter. If he puts it all together, very few people can do anything with him in the junior middleweights. But the issue is getting too slack and relying upon his knockout power. You know, it's that Deontay Wilder effect. You know, the guy he draw all of his plans out and just goes for the 1 minute the knockout. He even brags about it. You have to stay perfect the entire fight. It takes you the whole fight to stay perfect, but only takes me 2 seconds to land a shot. Yeah, but what if that never comes? You know, sooner or later that's gonna bite him in the butt. But Charlo, man, fantastic fighter, has great talent, and he spoke about it at length about losing the fight, approaching it, and reawakening a hunger that he had to get his belt back and to move forward in that division. Eddie, this fight is set for, like I said, it's set for June the 23rd. It's coming up real soon. So you got Tony Harrison and Jermell Charlo going at it. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think Harrison definitely better be ready because you know what I'm saying. By Charlo losing, it's gonna bring a whole nother beast out of him, man. Like we talked about before, I was like, yeah, that's just gonna make him. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna make him, like I say, a whole nother beast. So he definitely gonna bring. He's more determined, and I think he is gonna correct the mistakes that he made by trying to rely on that one knockout punch that never came. You know what I'm saying? Instead of getting outboxed. You know what I'm saying? While he was getting outboxed, he just kept relying on that power. Thought he was gonna knock the guy out, but it didn't happen. So I think he's gonna adjust and correct the mistakes and fire them combinations off of that good jab he got. You know what I'm saying? I think he might knock Harrison out this time. You know what I'm saying? If he sticks to that, just let them hands go, let them combinations go off the jab. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to get him out of there.
If you look at the last fight they fought back in December the 22nd in Barclays in Brooklyn, it was 116 and 112 on one judge card, 115 and 113 and 115 and 113, giving it a 2-1 to Tony Harrison. That really shocked everybody. But when you go back and look at the footage, you can see exactly Tony Harrison fought a splendid fight. You know, he really did. And you got to give big credit to them Detroit fighters. You got to watch out for them dudes. But in the news conference, a lot of tension feels. You can see Charlo had a lot of bad blood for him. I got to give respect to Tony Harrison, man. Of course, Charlo has the bigger name, but Tony Harrison, man, you know, he told the world, look, I'm going to beat this guy. I beat him. And then after the fight, after the first fight in December the 22nd fight, in the ring, he told him, listen, I'm going to give Charlo a rematch. He did that. You know, he said, I'm not going to run from him. I'm going to give him a rematch. And that showed a lot of respect. That showed a lot of poise. That showed a lot of professionalism. And a lot of people not giving Tony Harrison respect or love because they all up with Charlo, which is fine. But truth is true, man. Tony Harrison, he could have ran away from, like Hakeem Rockman ran away from Lennox Lewis and wouldn't give him the fight. But you have all like Deontay Wilder doing this old bitch ass shit where he running away from having the fights that we want to see so he can fight other guys just because a promoter said something about the other promoters is screwing around in the game. But anyway, the reality behind the thing is it's funny to me.
Harrison, true champion, man.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? When he said, he gave me the opportunity, I'm going to give him one. You know what I'm saying?
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's how he's supposed to do it, man.
Now
he come from Detroit. All them legendary trainers come out of there, man.
That's right.
So he definitely got some knowledge. You know what I'm saying? He got the skill. He learned a lot from them being from Detroit and all that information and that was passed down from legendary trainers, man. So if anybody comes out of Detroit, they can fight, man.
This is what Charlo said leading up to the during the press conference for this upcoming fight. I'm coming to this rematch with a whole different mindset and a much better game plan. I took this loss like a wake-up call, and it reminded myself why I've been doing this for all these years. Then, of course, he turned to Harrison and said, you know you didn't do enough to win that fight. I can get the best redemption ever. I know for a fact that you've never been in a position where you've got redemption. I'm going to take back the belt God placed in my life. I have respect for Tony and his father, but I think he knows that he didn't do enough to win that fight. It was a robbery. I feel like I'm the people's champ for all the fans around the world. My popularity is still growing despite the robbery. He calls it a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. He became one-dimensional in the round. He stopped doing what he was supposed to do and tried to knock Harrison out. And Harrison was too smart. Harrison moved. He shake. Watch Tony Harrison in the fight. Harrison fought a really good fight. Probably the best fight. You go back and watch other fights from Tony Harrison, who had some pretty good fights. But he fought a really good fight. He showed something different than what he customarily show. He stuck to the game. They had a wonderful game plan. He stuck to it, and he neutralized Charlo. The judges weren't fooled. They weren't fooled by that. You know, if anybody could say, well, it was a robbery, it would have been Tony Harrison. But Tony Harrison did everything he was supposed to do in that fight against Charlo. And Charlo, and Eddie, if kind of in retrospect, you go over these, you walk back what he just said recently, what I just read. It kind of showing me he's still not over it. So it's kind of putting in my mind, what do you think about Tony Harrison having a mental advantage, being that the fact that he's still talking about he got robbed, and you telling Harrison in a press conference today that he knew he didn't win the fight and I got robbed. It doesn't that buy to Harrison's getting in that mental advantage over Charlo, the fact that he should have been over that by now. He shouldn't even be worrying about the fact that worrying about that kind of foolishness. That his thoughts should be totally on the fight and not the previous one. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we'll say, well, Charlo, he you know what I'm saying, he doesn't like to lose at anything, like he stated. Even like it come down to a video game, he hates to lose. So yeah, he definitely should be dwelling on that. You know what I'm saying? That's just done in the past. He got beat. You know what I'm saying? Take it for what it is, man, and okay, correct your mistakes and come back stronger, man. You know what I'm saying? Focus on now, not back then. Because I think Harrison's gonna hope that he come out there and try to take his head off so he can outbox him again. You know what I'm saying? Make him look for that, you know what I'm saying? Try to get him out of there again. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, you know what I'm saying? Charlo needs to just focus on right now, and you know what I'm saying, what he didn't do in the last fight, he needs to do in this fight.
Now Charlo's,
yeah, throw them combinations, man. Let them hands go. Don't look for no one punch knockout, man.
Yeah, that's right, Eddie. He's 31-1 with Tony Harrison giving his first loss ever, 15 knockouts. He turns 29 later this month, making his fourth title fence with Harrison pulling off the upset that knocked him off course. Now he playing the unification belt with who we just previewed, Jared Hurd, been talking mess with him, but he got to get through Harrison first, and that's a big obstacle for him. Now Harrison is 28-2, 20 with 21 knockouts, and like we say, he's from Detroit, and he gets that, he's a guy that has a lot of experience as well. Now Harrison told Charlo, this guy is a clown, who began to interrupt, and he just kept telling him shut up. So I mean, I've never been this motivated in my life to win a fight like how I'm right now. That's what Harrison said. At the end of the day, if my career would end, I would be cool stopping after this win. This fight is personal for me. What I've been through has made me into who I am. I am not a pretender. When I come out here and put my life on the line, you put your life on the line. Respect me as a man. I'm going to earn it again on June the 23rd. Not everybody gets a chance to redeem their losses, but the fact that I took this should show how confident I am in beating Jermell Charlo again. I don't need anyone to co-sign me because I'm confident in what I can do as a man and as a fighter. He really sparked me and got me motivated for this fight. The worst thing you can do is spark a guy from Detroit. He's not the only one with a chip on his shoulder. End quote from Tony Harrison. There you go, Eddie. So, never been more motivated now. And he didn't use quite those words in his first fight when he said that he was going to shock the world. He's holding the belts. He's the champion. Charlo ain't the champ, man. So people give Tony Harrison some respect. Us here at Ring Kings Boxing World give a big respect to Tony Harrison. He the champion, man. And that's what he did. He didn't run for Charlo, and Charlo is not saying it. He keep talking about the man. You didn't win the fight. You didn't win the fight. But what's also important? That he didn't run from the fighter, and he's put him on line. This might be one of them situations, man. You know what this is remind me of, Ed? I'm going to say this, and then we can move on. This might be a situation for Jermell Charlo like Tony. Remember Tarver and Roy Jones Jr. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. You got any excuses tonight, Roy?
Yes.
He knocked him out and shit.
Right. You see, this could be. This is what's bringing. I'm just getting this now. This could be a situation like what Tarver and Roy Jones. As great as Roy Jones was, Tarver exposed him and showed him that he wasn't so great. Now this might be Charlo Harrison might be Charlo's Tarver. You know, I mean, he's not afraid of him. He knocked the mystique off of him, and the only person in the game to beat him. Nobody ever beat Charlo before. And this is something that's in his head saying that, nah, you was lucky, you know, whatever. But this, Tony, I'm not getting that from Tony Harrison. I'm getting straight confidence. And I think that Charlo's making this mistake that a lot of people make in boxing when they go into a fight with somebody. He's severely underestimating that man's abilities. So it's going to be interesting, man, and we're going to see how he can handle it. But Eddie, any last takes on that before we get into our final topic?
Oh, no. That's good. Yeah, I just hope, like I say, Charlo don't make the mistakes that he made last, you know what I'm saying, the last fight, trying to knock him out, man. And, you know what I'm saying, and then, like you said, Harrison just might have Charlo's number, man. You know, styles make fight, just like Ali fought Frazier. You know what I'm saying? He'll beat him. If they fought 20 times, I think Ali probably would have beat him 20 times, man, because of the styles. So we'll see.
We'll see indeed. That fight's coming up on the 23rd of June. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a really good fight. We're going to see where it is. And then, of course, in our final topic on Ring Kings Boxing for the night, we are previewing probably one of two that we're going to do on this one. But this is the first one. Wilder and Dominic Brazil set to go May the 18th next weekend. Not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. Big fight between Deontay Wilder, American heavyweight champion, carrying the WBC heavyweight title, into what is deemed as a grudge match, facing this mandatory challenge in Dominic Brazil after the Tyson Fury fight fell out. And Brazil and Deontay Wilder have bad blood from a confrontation that happened. A lot of stuff going on, and these two giants, man, are going to hash it out in the ring. Deontay walking into this fight's 40-0 with one draw. 39 knockouts. He says he's going to get his 40th knockout against Dominic Brazil. Of course, they anticipating him to come into this fight a lot heavier than what he originally was. They have him listed on the site as 226 pounds, which is about 11 pounds heavier than what he fought when he fought against Luis Ortiz. He was really light, but coming into this fight here, he said he's going to bulk up to take on Dominic Brazil, and I think that would be a good idea to do. But 226 as a listing. He's 6'7", very tall heavyweight, 83-inch reach. He's 33 years of age, and Deontay Wilder has that dynamite right hand that he lives so well off of. And of course, Dominic Brazil, the challenger, is 20-1. Only loss coming against AJ in a fight where AJ knocked him out. No draw, so he only lost one professional loss in 21 fights and 20 wins there. 18 knockouts for him as well. He's 6'7", 253 pounds, big fellow with an 81.5-inch reach. Orthodox fighter. Both fighters are 33 years of age. Deontay Wilder has about 20 fight experience on Dominic Brazil. Eddie, we played on Ring Kings the tape with Deontay Wilder and Dominic Brazil talking back and forth, Hurd in there from previous shows. What's your take on this upcoming fight between these two massive giants, man?
My opinion, I think Deontay Wilder got him scared already, man. All you got to do is go in there and just put the icing on the cake. And, you know what I'm saying? We'll see if he can rise to the occasion, though. To me, Dominic Brazil looked scared. He looked scared, you know what I'm saying, before the fight even, you know what I'm saying, before the fight, like, you know, how Tyson used to do it. He used to intimidate his fighters as the opponent so much that all he had to do was go in there and just land one on the chin and it was over. He actually beat him before the fight. And I think that's what Deontay Wilder did with Dominic Brazil. Like I say, this is boxing, so we'll see what's going to happen. Especially with the heavyweights, it only takes one punch.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fight set for the 18th of May. It's gonna be in the Barclays Center once again. Deontay Wilder's third time fighting in the Barclays. Really loves fighting up there, and it's like I said, man. You know my take on this whole this fight here is. I don't want to, disrespect Dominic Breazeale because he got real skill. He has real skill. He's a big fighter. He's about the same size. I think it might be wrong. I think he might be a little bigger than Deontay Wilder height wise. But I mean, the thing that Deontay is really good at is you get a fighter in front of Deontay Wilder that doesn't move too well, and you ask him for trouble. So I don't know if Dominic Breazeale's trainer is going to change some things. Where I think Virgil is. Matter of fact, Virgil is training him for this one, but I don't know if Virgil's going to be able to slip something in Dominic Breazeale's repertoire where he could be able to slide a little bit. But one of the most elusive heavyweights in Tyson Fury in the heavyweight division, Deontay was able to put him on the mat twice. So he was able to land that punch, but Dominic Breazeale can knock you out, man. He really could. And Deontay Wilder could definitely floor this man. But my point is this. Deontay Wilder has been really, really lucky lately. And I mean, when I mean lucky is like Luis Ortiz should have beat him. He ran out of juice. The Tyson Fury deal, I think Tyson Fury won that fight. He outboxed him, and Deontay waited, and played the knockout game and put him on the mat twice. And came up with it was a draw, but that could have easily went to Tyson Fury. So would Dominic Breazeale be the one to take the belts away from anything possible in boxing? But I have to go with Deontay Wilder on this one because to me, I think even though this is a grudge match, Deontay Wilder is super motivated to hurt this man, and I just don't see Breazeale standing up to the onslaught that Deontay Wilder's going to get him. Now, I don't know if I agree with my boy Eddie saying that he's fearful. He do look Deontay Wilder, you should have seen the footage of Deontay Wilder with his eyes bucked out at him and talking crazy to him. And you know what? It's really kind of eerie and spooky that Deontay Wilder's really saying this crazy ass comments and topics like, I won't hit him and make him quiver. Like I forgot the guy who was quivering and shaking. The man went to convulsions on the mat and almost died in the fight. And he was saying, I want to hit him like that and make him shake and see his body shake. And it's going to be a bloodbath. He's using, he wants to, he won't be concerned about his health and all this kind of stuff. That kind of foolishness is unwarranted. We don't need to say that. And Deontay Wilder's been going off. He's out of his fucking mind. He said that on the Breakfast Club one morning when he said he wanted to kill somebody in the ring. Then he had to buck back those statements. It's just, as he gets more and more popular, I don't know if he's handling this fame thing right, or maybe he took too many shots to the head or something, man. You can't be talking like that in the sport of boxing, because it could very well be you that end up getting that won't get up at the end of the night. So you talking about all that kind of stuff, you could be casting something on yourself. But Dominic Breazeale is motivated as well. Will he be able to stand up to what Deontay Wilder's dishing out? And he doesn't move that well. He's basically a hittable target, and Deontay Wilder don't have to do nothing but stand in front of him. I just think it's a styles make fights, like my partner said. But at the end of the day, Deontay Wilder he's going to definitely knock out Dominic Breazeale. I'd be really surprised if Breazeale takes him to the distance and beats him. I think it'll be cold if Dominic Breazeale do beat Deontay Wilder and take his belt, because I'm sick of what Deontay Wilder is doing, running out here with this foolishness, talking about fighting Luis Ortiz and Kanaki and talking about having a middleweight fight in 2021, and he's 33 years old. He don't have but maybe 3 or 4 fights left in him, and he wants to milk it out. And Eddie, we talked about this before, and I guess we can cover it before the show ends, about we pushing the movement of not paying for bum-ass fights. So let's put the pressure on these guys to fight each other. Okay, let's put the pressure on them because that's what we want to see. We want to see Deontay Wilder while he's still young and vibrant. We don't see a 35-year-old Deontay Wilder fight AJ. Then everybody will say, oh, well, he got past his prime. He should have fought him when he was such and such. Let's put the pressure on these guys to fight. Let's not support these bum-ass fights that they planning on fighting. Let's not support these guys when they do that. You know, I'm really upset about the Andy Ruiz fight, but that was on Jarrell Miller. I didn't like what Luis Ortiz team pulled. They pull out and then took a deal to go and fight Deontay Wilder again. And Deontay Wilder all about making money. And we don't want, if you ain't got it by now, partner, you'll never have it. And the reality is we won't see the fights that we want to see. We won't see a unification fight. We don't want to see you running around fighting Luis Ortiz or Kanaki, man. We don't want to see that. We want to see the unification of the belts and the heavyweight titles. And I hate when people holding the belts do this bullshit when they won't try to run away and try to make money with the belt as opposed to fighting the fighters that we want to see. So, you know, that's my take. Eddie, what you got on this one, man?
Yeah, it should be one heavyweight champ. Not no two of them. You know what I'm saying? I was like, come on, what's the point of being a champ if you ain't the only champ? You know what I'm saying? Two champions in one division? Come on. And like I say, I wouldn't pay for no damn watch no punching bag. AJ punching on no punching bag. You know what I'm saying? A human punching bag. I was like, should I go watch him? Type in AJ's training session and watch him punch on the bag in the damn gym, man, instead of paying some damn for pay-per-view. Him to beat on some big old rubbery looking Pillsbury Doughboy. That don't make no fucking sense, man. You pay that much money to see that, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's crazy, Eddie, because at the end of the day, man, I was paying attention to the press conference that they held to introduce Ruiz. Ruiz had a Snicker bar in his hand saying, don't underestimate this fat boy. You know, so he playing the George Foreman role, man, and I guess Hurd sees that as an attempt to draw a lot of the Mexican crowd to watch Ruiz, who is trying to take a belt from AJ. It won't happen. He's going to just abuse his body and eventually knock him out inside of 5 rounds. Bum-ass fights, man. No disrespect to Ruiz, but we don't want to see you, man. You ain't taking it serious. How dare you come up in front of us with this Michelin man look or whatever the hell he's doing. Anyway, that'll do it for the show, Eddie, man. We appreciate y'all for joining us on Ring King Box. Remember, we do Ring King Boxing Podcast every week, either Wednesday or Thursday of the week. Subscribe, hit the notification button for future shows and comments. Comment on the show as well, man. Share it with your friends, your family, your enemies. Make them your frenemies. Join our social media. And you can also donate. Subscribe. Thank you for joining us. For me and Eddie, Too Mean Johnson. Peace.
Peace.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Network. And support the true independent artists.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Old moon, yeah. That's Hugo, tickling the ivories. He just saved by bundling home and auto with Progressive. Gonna finally buy a ring for that gal of yours, Hugo? Send her my condolences. Hi-oh! This next one's for you two. There's there's a burglar in my heart. Thank you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
The sun is coming out, and Academy Sports and Outdoors is excited to bring you the most summer fun under one roof. Find pools, floats, coolers, grills, trampolines, and this week, the best kayak deals of the year. Shop now at your local store and academy.com.